Hello and welcome everyone to another Procreate Quick Tips video. In this video we're going to talk about using brushes in Procreate, and there's not much else left to that, so let's get started. So your brushes are the first three icons up there in your top right of your interface. The first one there is your paintbrush. It looks like a paintbrush. That's what you use to add digital color to your digital art. And the one just to the right of that looks like a finger is your smudge tool. That's used to smudge the paint that's already on the canvas. And finally, the one to the right of that is the eraser tool. Looks like an eraser. It's used to erase paint off your canvas. So whichever of these tools is highlighted in blue at the top here is the one that's selected for you to use at the current moment. So if you tap on a tool that's already selected in blue, it will bring up the brush library. And if you look to the left, there's a bunch of categories there. The ones that have a specific icon to them are ones that Procreate has already there for you when you download the app. And you can see there are lots of different brushes that Procreate gives you in these categories. And then you may not have these, but the rest of these categories here that have the paint mark from the logo for Procreate are ones that I have either imported from other people or ones that I have created my own. And alright, so I'm going to just paint with a few different brushes here just to show you a few things. Alright, so now if you go into all the way at the top, your categories, you may have to scroll. There is a category called Recent that's going to show you all of the brushes that you used recently. You can hold down and slide left on any of these brushes, which will give you the option to pin the brush to the category, which is helpful because then you can find the brush easily when you need to come back to it. So there you see it is right in the Recent menu again, so it's easy to come back to. And now you can hold and slide to the left again, where you can unpin, and after holding and sliding left again, you can find the brush, which will take you to the category that it was originally in. And then the final thing you can do when you're in this Recent category, when you swipe left, is you can clear each of these brushes out of the category. Alright, so now I just want to show you I have different brushes picked out for each of these tools up here, the paintbrush, the smudge tool, and the eraser tool. And I'm going to show you how to quickly choose the same brush for two different tools. So you're going to select the first tool. This is the brush you're going to use for all the tools, and then you're going to hold down the second tool. And now that tool is using the same brush from the brush library, the monoline brush. So now I'll do it with the eraser tool as well. And you can see it also changed to the monoline. And now I'm erasing the monoline almost perfectly. I could probably do it perfectly if I really tried. So now I'm going to show you some more options you have. So if you are in one of the Procreate categories, you can again swipe left on one of the brushes, and this will give you a few more options. So the first one is you can share. So this is how you would export your brush. You also have the ability to duplicate your brush. So this will come up with a different version of that same brush. You can see it's called Monoline 1 now, and it's got that little paint mark from the logo. And the last option you have is reset. I'm going to show you why you would use that. So if you tap on a selected brush, it'll take you to the brush studio. And this is where you can edit the settings of your brush, or you can create your own. I'm not going to go over much in the studio today. I have made videos on this, and I'm probably going to make more as time goes on. But just to show you some things, I'm just going to change a few settings. And you can see the brush looks different than it did before. So that's an example of editing an existing brush. I just duplicated it and made some changes to it. And now you can see I can delete this brush also by sliding left on it. Now let me show you what happens when you start messing with the settings on a Procreate brush. So now if you messed with this brush and you wanted to get it back to the way it was, there's two ways that you can reset it. You can hit that reset button that comes up when you swipe left, and that only appears for Procreate brushes that come with Procreate. Or your other option is you can go back into the brush studio, go down to About This Brush category, and then hit Reset All Settings. And you can also do this on a brush that you create your own, or when you duplicate from another brush. You can go to, mess it up a little bit, go to About This Brush, and then create a new reset point. And then that will be your reset point. So if you go back in again, go to About This Brush, you'll have the option to go back to the way it was after you mess with it a little bit, and that will take it back to your reset point that you created. And alright, another thing you can do, if you hit that plus sign in the top right corner, that means new whenever you see it in Procreate. You can create a brand new brush right from there, and it's going to take you in the same brush studio. You can change all those settings to create your brush. And also, if you hit this plus sign way at the top of your categories, you may need to scroll up. That will allow you to create a new category of brushes, just like Procreate gives you. And you can name it whatever you want. And then you can just create new brushes inside that category, or you can move existing brushes into that category as well, just by dragging them and holding them and moving them like you do anything else. And if you hold your pencil or finger down on one of those categories, you can rename, share, delete, or duplicate. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the sliders over here on the left. And actually, I want to show you, you can change that if you go into your Actions menu, the wrench, go into Preferences, then you can find right hand interface, turn that on or off. I have mine off. I'll show you why. So if you turn that on, it goes on the right side instead of the left, and I'm right-handed, so it makes sense for me to have it on the left rather than the right, because I can use my left hand to hit it and mess with the things on the slider while I'm drawing with my right. Alright, so that top slider adjusts the size of your brush, so the further up your slider is, the bigger that your brush is. And then the bottom slider deals with your opacity. So it's more opaque at the top and getting more and more transparent towards the bottom. And you can see that last one, and it's all the way at the bottom, is 0%. You can actually change that. I'm going to show you how to do it. So if you go into the brush that you're using, into the brush studio, go into Properties, and then go, you can see there's maximum size, maximum opacity, minimum opacity. So if I bring the minimum opacity up a little bit, you'll see that now when I go all the way down on that slider, it's not going to be at 0%, it'll be a little bit higher than that. Now it can be kind of difficult dragging that slider up and down to get the perfect percentage that you want. Sometimes it's a little too big or a little too small, you can't get it right in the middle. So something you can do is, while your pencil or finger is held down, you can move it out horizontally from that slider while keeping it held down, and then move it up and down, and it moves a lot slower than it used to when you're just pressing it the way it is. So it's a little easier to get that in the middle perfect setting that you want. Another thing you can do with this slider is, if you click that slider, there's a plus sign, and it adds this little line to it. As you see, that's going to save your settings. So your size, if you like the size and you want to keep it, make sure you don't forget what size it was, you can click that plus sign and make a little save point for yourself, and then you can click anywhere near it and it'll take you exactly where it's supposed to be. And you can do this for opacity too. So you can save up to, they actually changed it. It used to be 5 on both, like 5 altogether on both. Now you can do 4 on each. So you can do 4 sizes and 4 opacities that you can save for each brush in the brush library. So you can see once I reach my limit, there's no plus sign there anymore. I can't save anymore. And now to make room, I can now tap on the minus sign, that's where the plus sign used to be, to unsave one of my save points. Alright, and that is all the tips I have for Procreate brushes.